Did you not at some point think maybe startup life is not for me, let me go get a job?
Byju's success or failure defined the entire ecosystem. Which risk is a good risk and which risk is a bad risk. And there is a way of doing it. And so you guys should also be open about that. That's when that money flows in.
The mistakes we regret are less of commission and more of omission. Things we didn't do.
Yeah.
Rather than the things we did.
Look, education is an investment. People plan for education. It's not a very individual investment. It's a family investment. Your traditional banks and NBFCs typically look at education not so different from how they would look at a personal loan. In my head, there's a back gate and there's a sand beach starting from the back gate.
Hi, this is Amrit. We are at IIT Madras, my alma mater, and India's top university for people who like to build. We are here to meet some builders, ask them, what are you building? What does it take to build? And what makes IIT Madras the best place to build?
Hello and welcome to the Best Place to Build podcast. Today we are sitting with Victor. Victor is the CEO and co-founder of Propelld. It's a Series C company in education financing. He's also a student here from 2007 to 11. Hi Victor.
Hi Avatash, thanks for having me here.
Victor, let's start with the most obvious question. You represent a company called Propelld. So can you start with what Propelld does?
So Propelld does education financing. So we give out loans to students who are in need for education loans. So they want to pursue educational courses and they are in need of funds. That's where we come in. We are an NBFC. We've been there since the last 7 years now. We are close to a 1200 crores AUM right now. We give out loans to at least 2.5 lakh students every year. I think we would be at par or probably higher than an SBI in terms of the number of students that we give out loans to. We have had, performance where our NPAs, which is seen as a gold standard, in the NBFC industry, we have our NPAs close to around a 1% level and we're near profitable. So
Wait. I want to just ask you a little bit about that. NPA is non-performing asset, right?
Correct.
From a very layman perspective, NPA is when a person who has taken a loan is not returning the loan.
Correct.
Right?
You're absolutely right. As in if there are 100 people who have taken loans, how much of your money is coming back, how much of your money is lost? The money lost is basically your NPAs.
And you're saying that Propelld is at 1%, which is a gold standard.
Correct.
How much will be the industry average?
Probably around 10%.
What? You're saying it's from 10% to 1% for you.
Yes.
I want to ask you also, the education financing is a pretty old business. So you are into this older business, you are sort of achieving something that's 10x better than the industry average. What is it that you guys have invented or figured out that is helping you do this?
When we went in education financing, we had a certain conviction and a thesis in mind. Our thesis was that, look, education is an investment. People plan for education, and especially in India, families plan for education. It's not a very individual investment. It's a family investment. And the output is also very family centric. The ROIs accrue to the family. It's not to the individual person per se. So what we realized is that your traditional banks and NBFCs typically look at education not so different from how they would look at a personal loan, which is to say that you just look at the individual's current capabilities and you underwrite that individual's capability of servicing the loan, servicing the cash flows of the EMI that is going to come by.
Fair enough. Let me tell you what I remember
Sure.
From whatever I have lent. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, please.
If I'm giving a loan to someone, then I want to check for his capability to return it.
Correct.
And his intent to return it.
Correct.
And so I'll use proxies like, does he have enough salary? Does he have enough assets to be able to afford it? And has he given loans? Has he repaid loans earlier?
Correct.
As a proxy for intent.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So where we differ is in a couple of things. One is we feel that both in terms of intent and ability, there's a big difference when you're taking a personal loan, which is a expense that you're going to make versus when you're going for an education loan, which is an investment that you're making. Already the intent is very high for somebody who is doing an educational, who is pursuing an educational course, depending on what the student's, history, academic history has been and where they're going to, there you can sort of take a guess at their intent as well.
Sure.
So for example, a student who is, let's say, a 80% plus career or an 85% plus career going into a, let's say, a tier 2 private college like a lovely professional university, his career is wide open in front of him once he goes there. The intent is going to be really high to complete that course. And then of course that ability also comes in because, because it's an investment, and once you do that course, you are supposed to get some income, and that income is supposed to grow over time as well. So that's a difference. That's how we look at it.
That's very interesting. You are saying that the intent and ability markers comes from if he has performed consistently academically, that's like an intent to do well in life.
Correct.
And if he's gotten a good course, then he will obviously get a better salary or get a good job.
Correct.
And therefore the ability will anyway follow.
Correct. So all of those factors play in the student's academics, the quality of the institute or the quality of the course that he's taking, and the potential outcomes that could come in. They relate both with intent and with ability as well.
So as somebody who is giving a loan, you are betting on person's academic prowess and his course that he's taken.
Correct. We are. Yeah.
But this is good in theory, and how do you implement it on a scale that's large enough? You said 2.5 lakh loans given to 2.5 lakh individuals.
Correct.
Across the country, I'm sure.
Yes.
How do you systematize this? How do you collect the signals for it? Especially in a country like India, if I send you a grade card of 80%, and I'm applying to a loan to you, how do you know whether it's, because some schools are very generous with grades.
Yeah.
Some boards are very generous with grades.
Yeah.
Some people are very generous with how they write their mark sheet.
Sure.
So how do you make this a system?
What we have understood after spending a lot of time in financial services, is that you optimize for risk rather than credit. So what I mean by that is that for me, what matters is how good the institute is and what's the quality of their outcomes, and how can I sort of standardize that data and sort of be really sure about that institute's outcome, versus looking at an institute which is not a great outcome, but trying to find good students within that. That's probably going to be a later stage for us. Right now, we look at it from a wholesale risk point of view, not at a very retail sort of level. So let's say again.
So if a course is doing well in a university that's doing well, that's 1 point higher in your risk system.
Yeah, that's how it is. As in the quality of the institute, the quality of the course with respect to outcomes, how, what are the data points that we can get to really be certain that the outcomes are what are being shown or what are being published, and how do we sort of take a feedback system and be doubly sure that, this is what the outcomes are like. That's what we optimize for.
Nice. Okay, I have a broad sense of what you're doing, and obviously you are one of the largest and you've just got your NBFC license, but did you start with this? What was your first idea when you started your entrepreneurship journey?
My first idea was something extremely different. So, the first idea that we had was, I had a company which was into teaching astronomy to kids. So we'd built a portable planetarium. There was with a senior of mine from IIT Madras as well, and we used to take it to schools, carry that to schools, set it up, have like a astronomy camp over a week, get students in and sort of show them astronomy shows and teach them about shows.
When was this?
This was way back in, I think, 14 to 15.
And where was this?
This was in partly in Bangalore and partly in Mumbai.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had an astronomy kit and you were taking it to schools?
Yes.
Okay, so then I'm very curious. How did you move from there?
How did I move from there into the NBFC? That didn't happen in a straight line as well.
Okay.
So the Propelled is the fourth startup that I'm doing actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have my attention. Let's go through each one. So one is astronomy. What,
Yeah.
did it have a name?
Yeah, AstroWorks.
Okay, Astroworks. And then?
Then we started hyperlocal grocery delivery when that was cool.
And this was which year?
This was from probably around 15 to 16, probably a year.
Okay. But hyperlocal grocery delivery, even companies like Swiggy entered it much later, right?
No, but if you remember, there used to be an earlier avatar of that, which used to be the avatar of Grofers for Blinkit.
Okay.
It was during those times.
And did you run it for a while?
Yeah, we ran it for a while. We ran it for about a year.
Okay.
Funnily, right when we were getting traction is when we realized that we can't run this business. The more traction we were getting, the more money we were losing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's one of those businesses where you have to do like 20,000 crores to make money.
exactly. We did not understand those sort of things then. For us, it was as simple as we are losing probably 100 rupees per order. And now it's scaling up from, let's say, 5 orders per day to, let's say, 50 orders per day. What are we going to do?
So you had one startup called Astroworks and then you moved to this did it have a name? Hypergrocery?
Stock up.
Okay, Stock Up. And then?
Then, so basically these have been steps.
Right.
So, after Stock Up, we realized that, look, we have the confidence of scaling things up, but we want to do something now which is going to give us money per transaction, not lose money. And that's when we decided, we just thought, which is a place that we can, actually have money. So we thought, let's do something in the clothing business, because the margins are going to be very high. So we started a apparel startup called Pristine Cut. And yeah, again, we did that for a year. But that was a time when we actually made real money. We did, probably within 8 months, we did close to around 60 lakh of sales and probably around 50% margin. So, we had like 30 lakh profit with us. Yeah.
So this Pristine Cut was like you were selling clothes.
Yeah. We're selling clothes.
So I want to ask you in this, and I'm guessing Avatar 4 is Propelled, but before we
Yes.
get there, were these with the same set of co-founders?
No, but one of my co-founders was a part of, from my second startup, was a part of my second and third startup journey, as in Stock Up, the hyperlocal grocery one, and then the clothing one. So Brijesh, one of my co-founders, was a part of that. But that's not where I met him first. BP2 and Brijesh, I actually know them from school.
Okay.
From my school in Bhubaneswar, Stuart School. Actually have been schoolmates. We were there in the same class, in the same section in Bhubaneswar. As in we've always been together. Byju and me, we went everywhere together actually. As in we came to IIT Madras together. Before that, we were in Kota together at the same place. We went to 11, 12 together. We used to go to maths Olympiad camps together. And with Brijesh, he's been a friend, but then, he moved, he also quit his company, to join me in Stock Up. And so, he has been apart from there. So, that's how we've come together.
I mean, I'm just stunned here. You knew your co-founders from school, I guess you were in and out of each other's lives after
Yes.
college, and then you have these 4 startups. Did you not at some point think maybe startup life is not for me? Let me go get a job.
I did.
And then, how did you find the courage to just stick on and keep trying?
I think one piece was I was growing, so I think a lot of these were also my choices to shut them down or not to pursue them.
Fair enough. Your first startup was probably your first experience with building a product, and your second startup you were saying was scalable, but then you realize it's not profitable. The third startup you're learning about scalability, product, and profitability.
Correct.
Sort of, it's like a
Like a
continuous
progression.
MBA.
It's like a practical MBA. It's a progression of that. And yeah, so I was learning.
So how did you come up with the idea of Propelled?
Actually, I didn't. It was Bibu's idea. And, that's when me and Brijesh were doing Pristine Cut. But we thought this idea is way bigger and actually has a lot of impact, and we could really build a large company and also help out students here. And that's when we decided, let's do it together. And we decided to close down Pristine Cut and do this full time together. So that was again a choice.
I remember talking to you earlier, and you were talking about how in education what's happened also in parallel, nothing related to your company, but that the cost of education has been sort of going up. And what happens is, it's going up to account for better teachers, better facilities, and so on. But what happens is that it starts excluding some people, right? And the affordability of education keeps going down. So in a sense, is that something that you guys are thinking about?
We were, of course, that's how we were thinking about it. So, let me go back to the very start of the idea, right? We have a very strong belief that education, ideally in an ideal world, should be a social expense. So that's how Milton Friedman thought about education. So that's how we got inspired as well, because it's not just for the individual. As in, if you really think about it, once somebody gets educated, the value comes into not just him, but the family, to the neighborhood. A lot of neighbor kids also get, sort of inspired. To everybody in the society as a whole is a better citizen, right? And, he can contribute more. So it should be a social expense, but that's not how it works. And we've all seen how education has become out of reach in countries like a US. Of course, the quality of education is a lot higher, but if you start looking at the education, the tuition fees versus the sort of ROIs,
Correct.
they're very separated now, and it's increased like crazy.
Even for top jobs, like if you are studying for medicine in the US, and then even if you're working and you have a successful practice, or you're working in a big hospital, it's like a 10-15 year journey to pay back your debt.
Exactly, right?
For like a top job.
Exactly. As in, if you open up, Reddit thread, there'll be horror stories. There'll be stories of people having repaid back probably 50% of their, monthly salary for the last 10 years, and their, principal having reduced by only 30% or 40%. It's crazy. Fortunately, in India, education is way more, value for money. Although it's been changing over the last 10 years, there's still a lot of scope. There's still a lot of gap between where we are versus where the US.
Actually, in the US, the cost of education has gone up, but the salaries have not equally gone up.
They haven't.
In India, I think it's better.
Yeah, but still, the way, the cost has gone up, the salaries are not gone up by that much. So, of course, as a value for money, the value has been decreasing over time. But it's still pretty good value for money.
Yeah. Actually, earlier it was almost free, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
I remember I was in IIT in 2003 to 8. My fees were 25K a semester. That's ridiculously low.
Yeah.
And it can go up from that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So the fees have been, increasing over time.
Yeah. So that excludes a certain number of people who find it really hard to sort of afford that fees, right?
That does. As in, if I think about my kids as well, I will have a certain idea in mind for when my kids turn, let's say, 16 or 17, when they go into undergrad, or even in schools as well. And when I start saving off for it, after a point of time, once I reach there, I'll find that probably that's not enough. I'll be short by close to around 40-50% of what I should be saving up. So that does exclude a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it creates a certain barrier. Some people get in and finish, let's say, 2 years out of 4 years of an undergrad, but then the remaining 2 years becomes a lot of stretch and becomes really hard. So
That's why Propelled may come in.
yes, Propelled comes in
maybe
at
the
any
first stage.
point.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah.
Okay, this is amazing, and you gave me a sense that your reach is 2.5 lakhs kids, 1200 CR in AUM, so that's a fantastic size. Congratulations.
Okay.
Let's dial back to your school
Yeah.
and how you got to IIT, and let's trace that journey a little bit.
Sure. No, so it's been a typical journey. I think most IITians, would have that journey as well. You grow up in a tier 2 city, everything that you hear from parents, and you see from parents is that, IIT is gold standard. That's where you have to be. You see a few guys, who are seen as some rock stars, some seniors who've gotten into IITs. There'll be very few, but they're seen like rock stars or gods, and you aspire to just be that. Everything that you do is like you have to do whatever you need to do to just crack that exam and get to that place. So yeah, that's how the journey has been.
And then when you got into IIT, how come you landed up in Chennai? Because from Bhubaneswar you would, and also it's the same question for your co-founder who was also from here.
Yeah.
How come you landed up in Chennai and not say in Kharagpur, which is obviously closer to Bhubaneswar, or in Delhi or Bombay?
So interestingly, I went to Kharagpur for my what do you call that? Counseling.
Yeah.
It used to be a physical counseling at that point of time. I realized that it's in there are just fields surrounding it, and there's just a campus. So I was like, oh, should I come here? So I had always had that question: should I come here? Then what happened, funnily, is that I met a senior of mine. 1 year senior. He was already here. I got connected through a common friend, and I asked him how Madras is as a campus. Is it fun? He sold Madras to me. He made it sound to me like, hey, all you have to do is, whenever you get bored, all you have to do is, take a bag with a spare clothes. In 5 minutes, you'll reach the beach. You can have a lot of fun in the beach. Like, in my head, I always pictured it as, there's a back gate and there's a sand beach starting from the back gate.
No, I think 5 kilometers from the back gate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just 5 kilometers.
Yeah.
And then when I told my parents that, hey, I am inclined towards going to Chennai, my parents wholeheartedly supported that decision. In their head, the way they were playing that was that, look, South India, Tamil Nadu, those guys study really hard.
Yeah.
They're extremely serious, extremely disciplined. We want you there. Great choice.
Can I just say that I'm also Odia? I also have Odia parents, and they also believed forever, maybe they still do, that South Indians study harder than North Indians or Bengalis or Odias. Yeah. Nice. So that's how you landed up in Chennai.
Yeah.
And how were your 4 years like? Were you very entrepreneurial in campus?
No, I wasn't. I in fact feel like I could have done a lot. Campus definitely offers a lot of opportunities. Probably more so, a lot more so now. As in, not much. I didn't do not much.
I have to ask you, did you go to the beach?
I went to the beach, but then I realized that it's really hard to go to the beach. You have to first of all, you lose your cycle in the first 6 months.
Oh, what? You lose your cycle in the first 6 months? You lost your cycle in the first 6 months?
Yeah, probably it's probably not even 6 months. Probably in the first 3 months, you lose your bicycle.
Oh.
It's the same bicycle that everybody has.
Yeah, that's true.
You just don't know where your cycle is, who has it.
Yeah.
Somebody loses it, and then...
Yeah, or if comes and says, I'll borrow your bike, and then leaves it somewhere. He's forgotten where he's left it.
Exactly.
You've forgotten who you gave it to.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's gone. So then you're walking for the rest of the 4.5 years.
Yeah,
3.5 years.
Or you have to, ask someone for a cycle all the way, or you have to haggle with an auto rickshaw wala, which is crazy.
Which is a skill in itself.
Yeah, which is
Today, the kids don't learn that skill because there's Uber, Ola, and Namayatri.
Yeah.
Nice. I think there's also like this idea. I think what happens, you also went to Kota, you must have stayed away from home.
Yeah.
So there's an experience you go through before IIT, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a really hard exam. You come here, whether it's to Madras or to any other campus, it's like a big sigh of relief, like this is done.
True.
And then I think, at least to me, the first 1 year I didn't do much at all, except just go for classes and do the bare minimum. I think there's a period of time that it takes to just recover from the JEE experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would probably, differ a little bit there. It's not the, what do you call that? Like the relaxation that I was looking for, at least in my case. It was not like I was mentally overwhelmed after preparing so much for IIT. It's more about, an idea that I am right now, at the pinnacle, and there is nothing, what else is there to go? I think if that would have been shown a lot more, that look, you're at a great stepping point now. And from here, there are great, awesome places that you can get to. Awesome things that you can build. I think things would have been a little more different.
But you eventually started building. So what was the change in you from the first year Victor to the AstroWorks Victor? What changed that you decided to build?
There was just a self-realization that hit me when I sat for placements in college. That's when I realized that, whoa, people have actually done things. They've actually, improved a lot. They've, explored many avenues, and I could have also done the same. So that's when I decided that, okay, so wherever I go next, whatever else I do in life, I'll sort of understand that, I'm only at a stepping point, and there are a lot more, great places to get to.
Very interesting. I think in JEE coaching days, this idea gets sold to you that the end goal is admission.
Yes.
But you are saying that the end goal is not admission at all. Like there's always something more and a further distance to go.
Yeah, of course. I can understand why that end goal is sold at that point of time. At that point of time, people want you to put your 100% in that. But then even after that, I feel like if there's a counseling that's done right when students come in, to tell them that, look, you were sold a lie.
Half truth.
Yeah, half truth. In nicer words. You're not at an end goal now. You're at a beginning point, and it's a great beginning point. You have awesome, peers and great alumni who built great stuff. You have the best facilities in the country and probably in the world. You have all sorts of avenues, just go for it.
Nice. After college, you're talking about the placement season, right? And placement season is a very
super hectic,
very stressful. First time you're meeting companies, first time you're writing your resume, and it's not just you, right? The whole community is going through that exercise. The whole of the final year batch is going through that exercise.
Yeah.
Can you just run us through what that feels like, and what did you do after IIT?
So, you're absolutely right. It's probably the first time you're facing the external world. You're probably not prepared enough. Suddenly, one day, you start hearing from people that you have to start building resumes. You start doing, at least in our times, that used to happen. That you start doing a lot of consulting cases. Probably start learning a little bit of coding and so on and so forth.
Actually, it's very interesting you say that. It's the first time that you realize that you're going to be judged not on one parameter, but on some 10 different parameters.
Yeah.
Like because JEE score is one score and your CGPA is one number.
You know exactly what to do. Here it's, you don't know really, as in, I don't know how, probably, probably the best. Probably people prepare for placements a month before placements, and that's it. It's not like you know exactly what you're
And
supposed to.
even if you did, every company has a different parameter. So you prepare for one company's parameter, and then you are not aligned to another company's requirements.
That too. And it's a lot more subjective. You don't really know how much to go deep in something, and a lot of things about how you come across, and a lot more softer factors coming in for the first time ever. Earlier you were very methodical for JEE, right? As in, these are numerical things. These are things you've been comfortable since as a kid, mathematical things.
Your language is also judged a lot.
Exactly.
How you're communicating, how you're dressing, how you're grooming yourself. It's suddenly a lot, right?
Certainly a lot.
Yeah.
So I remember I was probably one of those guys who wasn't placed till my probably the 10th day of placements, probably a day 10 or something. And I was super stressed. I felt as if the world is ending. So yeah, it's a really stressful time.
And then how did you move past that?
In my head, the way I move past that is, look, I'm going to see this now as something that I got to do. But once I get a job, which I did eventually everyone does. And, then I was like, look, I should now, rethink about whatever mistakes I've made earlier, which I told you about, right? Which is not really utilizing the opportunities that IIT gives you.
Which is I think there's a sentence I've heard that the mistakes we regret are less of commission and more of omission. Things we didn't do. Rather than the things we did.
You're absolutely right. So that's when I decided that, look, I am going to do something which I want to do now, which is I want to, even if, I want to do a MBA, I want to get into the business world, I want to, prepare for CAT and get to a really good college. And, once I get there, I shouldn't stop and, relax and feel like, oh, I've gotten here.
So you sat for placements, you were saying that it was a sort of a reality check for you in terms of how you approach opportunities, right? After IIT, you did an MBA also.
I did.
So was it a different experience in your MBA?
It was. As I told you, right, my idea was that I'm going to fully utilize the platform that I'm given. So when I was in Delhi, when I was in FMS, I made sure that, if I enjoyed finance, I went, out of my way. I went out of academics and did a lot of finance projects, get into a lot of finance, sort of global competitions. So yeah, as in, it was quite interesting. As in, I re-enjoyed the learning process that used to be there pre getting into IIT.
JEE days.
JEE days, right? As in the wonder and the fun of learning something new and getting really deep into that, and really getting into the core trenches of it. So yeah, that's what I did.
Okay, I think there's a gap in my understanding. Is basically from how did you move from being awakened Victor, Victor 2.0, to the startup Victor?
So that was a part of being awakened.
Okay. So after FMS, did you do a job or did you start up immediately?
No, so I didn't know so much about entrepreneurship back then when I was in FMS. My dream was to get into one of the best finance jobs, into an investment banking job. And that's what I got in. So I joined an investment banking firm. It was apparently the dream that I really wanted to get to. But then once I started working, that's when, I sort of did not really enjoy the work as much as I had built it up in my head. I used to think that the job is going to be really exciting and intellectually stimulating, and the sort of finance knowledge that I had, I'm going to be able to use that. But I realized that like in any traditional sort of industry, probably you have to go through a lot of, a period where you're doing a lot of not so great, not so intellectually stimulating work, make yourself visible, prove your worth to the organization, and
Then you get those.
then you get those sort of stuff. And I was too impatient for that. So I thought,
Oh, I echo with this. I started my career in Hindustan Lever. I left in 15 months.
Yeah.
Because I felt like, okay, जो सीखना था सीख लिया, अब खुद से करता हूँ. But the idea was also that it will take me many years
Yeah.
to really do much.
Yeah.
But when I look back, I feel like I left too soon. I should have stayed for a little longer, crystallized my learnings a bit more.
Yeah.
Like that sense of impatience I felt. I can echo when you say this sentence that there was a sense of impatience. I went through that too.
Yeah, as in, I don't feel that impatience from a point that I have ever felt that I should have continued. I never feel that I should have continued. I think it was the right impatient. I wasn't really learning. It was
Very interesting. Okay. So then you moved on to Astroworks, and then to StockUp, and then to Pristine Cut, and then to Propelled.
correct.
Ooh, what an exciting journey. Can I ask you, can you give us a sense of your co-founders' journeys as well? Are they similar?
One of them, yes. Brijesh's journey is very similar. That's because he got influenced a lot by me. When I was after FMS, when I was in the investment banking firm, Brijesh, after doing his MBA, Brijesh did his MBA from IIT Madras.
Okay.
From DOMS. So after that, he had also joined a banking firm, and we used to always discuss about ideas that hey, we should do something, we should build something when we were in our jobs. And after I left, I did Astroworks on my own. He continued in his banking firm. Then when I started StockUp, I pitched him the idea of StockUp. He thought it's really exciting. And yeah, he probably, neither I nor he probably really understood how much water we were in. But I guess that's how you do it.
If entrepreneurs knew how tough it is on day one, they would probably never start.
They wouldn't. Yeah, that's something I definitely agree with you. As in, yeah. I think, you also asked me about my co-founders, right?
Byju,
So
yeah.
I should probably talk about Byju too. No, but Byju had a much more traditional sort of journey. He, after IIT, he got placed in Credit Suisse. So he was doing that high-flying job right after IIT for a couple of years. And then he did his MBA from AMCAL. Then he was again working at a investment banking firm out of Delhi, and he was doing some great work. As in, he was actually doing real quality work. The finance work that I was telling you about, he was actually doing that, and he did that for a decent period of time until the startup. I should say that the startup bug also bit him because we were staying at his place. And that's when that idea came for Propelled as well, and we started that. So he didn't have that sort of a journey. It's been a different journey for him. Yeah.
Nice. I remember you talking about this earlier about piloting education loans in a small way before really going into Propelled in a big way.
Yeah.
Can you give us that story as well?
So when we started, we picked up our phone and started calling a lot of institutes that whether they would want a product like this. Of course, we heard probably a lot of no's, but there was just one guy out of Calcutta. He had come from the US, so he had an understanding. He was a little more forward looking than a lot of other people. He could see the potential of a product like this. Other people were thinking of it from a point of what is right now available in the market and not seeing a future version of it. So he invited us to Calcutta. We used to, work out of his institute, and we started our product there, where me and Brijesh used to go and speak to the students, and build a product for them, understand their needs.
You're saying this is a product where you're sort of evaluating the credit risk based on the course and this in student's course.
Yeah, so it was very simple for us because we were present at that institute.
It's one institute.
Yeah, it's one institute, right? And that's how probably you start. Because we were there at that institute, we understood the quality of the promoter, what he really brings to the table, the teachers that are there, the kind of students that are coming in, their ambitions, the ambitions of those students, the pedigree of those students. So we understood really what's going on there. And we were a lot more comfortable in giving out loans there. The loans were also very small amounts as compared to traditional education loans. This was not a traditional degree. This was a, this was a course. This was a
Upskilling course.
right, in data science. And
Nice. Yeah. So from that one institute, today you are present in how many institutes?
I'd say more than probably close to around 600, 700 institutes. I would have to come back on the exact number.
And also you have sort of moved from upskilling to higher ed coursework. So I have a question here in this journey of, I mean, your personal journey is very interesting. We spoke till Propelled and even in Propelled going from one institute to so many institutes, hundreds of institutes, and one loan to lakhs of loans, say 1 crore AUM to 1,000 crore AUM. How has the organization changed? How have you changed as a person? What are the transformation that's happened? Like if you look at Victor from 6 years back, how different a person that was?
There's a massive difference, right? As in the org obviously grew from, as small as just the three of us, pitching the idea to, a bunch of people in our first accelerator program to setting up our office, which is probably, 10 by 10 square feet, room where there are about 6 or 7 people to the point now where we are close to around a 300, 350 odd team. In terms of, personally, I would say personally and professionally, a lot of changes in me have been with respect to how do you see signals, how do you understand signals from noise, how do you differentiate between signals and noise, and how do you zero down on your top 3 signals, how do you optimize and focus the org's effort in a, in one direction. How do you figure out opportunities, which are the opportunities which are more long term, and how do you balance a long term, durable value building versus something very short term and tactical. People management.
Very interesting. So what you're saying is that one of the biggest things that you have gained over the last few, maybe 6-7 years is your ability to sort of understand what to listen to, what not to listen to, what to prioritize, what to take as a strong input and what to keep aside.
I would also, that's correct. I would also add, how do you sort of become an org, which is to say that how do you row in one direction, and so the structure around that, the people around that, and how does that entire mass of so many people, look in one direction.
Fair enough. When you're starting off, you have a visibility of maybe 1 or 2 years. Now you probably as an org, you have a visibility of 10 years or 20 years, what Propelled wants to be in 2030, 2040.
Yeah.
It's sort of like an end vision kind of thinking.
Correct. You're absolutely right. It starts opening up way more as you put yourself out there. As you start taking those, you're absolutely right. Just 10 steps. As you start taking those, 3-4 steps, the step from 10 to 100 probably starts opening up. So,
can you, you would have had a parallel journey in terms of, actually, before I get to that, I have a question that's coming up in my mind, which is that, of course, the pandemic meant different things to different people.
Yeah.
But for lending companies, for FinTech companies, it was like a a hammer, a sword, and
Yes.
how did you, how was your pandemic story?
It's very interesting, that you brought that up, right? So actually, it was actually quite the opposite for us. We grew massively during the pandemic. The traditional sort of knowledge or the traditional gut instinct was that every lending company is suffering because people are not repaying back their loans, which was very natural because
Business has stopped.
businesses
Salaries have stopped.
salaries have stopped. There's a lot more at stake right now for people than repaying back their EMIs. A lot more
Absolutely.
fundamental-
Life is
way more
precious.
and a lot more fundamental things at stake now. But in fact, we have always, as I told you, right, we've always had that belief that education is an investment. And our belief was that in a period like this, when people don't have a lot of visibility on what's going to happen, they're actually going to invest a lot more in educating themselves. After taking care of their life and, being safe, the investment in education in terms of, if not money, at least their attention and how much they really value education is going to go up a lot more as compared to coming down. And our thesis always has been fundamentally that, people who are invested, there's a lot more intent, and of course the ability will also come in the future.
But this is of course, looking in retrospect, we know that people invested more in courses, they studied more, so much data that now says that people use the pandemic as a way to upskill themselves. But going into the pandemic, this is a very contrarian view, right?
It is.
In 1 month down into the pandemic, nobody was saying that people will study more.
It is, but historically, if you look at it, right, at any crisis that comes in where there's a job crisis or an economic crisis, historically that's been the trend though.
That's very interesting. But how are your internal conversations, how are your boardroom conversations with respect to this decision of you to double down during the pandemic?
So naturally, the boardroom conversations, were hard, I should say, and of course, our investors ended up supporting us, but they were, sort of hard conversations to have it. But there were questions of when everybody else is sort of running that tap down, why are you turning it on even more? But then we had our conviction and our thesis on that, and finally the boardroom also was convinced that that's a right way to go about it.
Okay, but it's one thing to convince the boardroom. Did your NPA hold?
It did. If it wouldn't have, then the board would have said that we did the wrong decision in going in there. But that's actually the proof of the pudding.
Yeah.
In a lending business. So it's not about us getting market share. Yeah. So what happened there is we had a few competitors back then who were funded by larger VCs, and they had probably raised 10x more money than us, and they had the larger market share. We actually used that point to actually leapfrog, and after that we became the number one player there, and we've continued to sort of maintain that position. And the proof of lending, because we are in the business of evaluating risk and making sure our NPAs are low, was at 6 months later, 12 months later, our NPAs continue to be the same way.
Very interesting. In fact, I'm just remembering that I've read lenders say that lending, the challenge is not in lending, but in getting the money back.
Yeah, correct.
And so NPA is the big metric of whether you're doing a good job.
So the way we think about lending is that you're in the business of evaluating and buying risk. So if you don't take any risk at all, you're not going to have your rewards, or you're not going to make money as well. If you take stupid risks, if you take the wrong risks, you are going to be punished by the industry. So you have to just understand how do you evaluate risk and how do you buy that risk.
The other thing that's coming to mind is that this is a very pivotal moment in a business in a category.
Yeah.
There are multiple players in a category.
Yeah.
A systemic shock has hit the category. Some people have entered the category because they think it's a opportunity, right? You have entered the category because you believe in a core thesis.
Correct.
And your value system, your belief in the core thesis will really show up at the time of a crisis.
Absolutely.
And so if there's an external crisis and the others are like, oh, this is too risky.
Yeah.
But you are saying that I really believe in this.
Yeah.
And I think that from a first principles point of view, this is actually a better time for us
Yes.
to increase our lending or our product reach.
You're absolutely right, and that's exactly how it has happened. So, when we entered, there was a lot of interest in this industry naturally, because education is a very large use case. It can't be ignored. It's a big part of a consumer's wallet in India. It's very underpenetrated with respect to financing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were looking at it, but you're absolutely right. That's the way people were looking at it, as another sort of side opportunity. But for us, it was a very core thesis, and that actually showed up. And when we did that, we actually earned a lot of respect and trust of the industry as well, which holds good even now. People understand that it's during the crisis that we have actually been there. So another pivotal point, just to add on here, another pivotal point which has happened with us has been the Byju's meltdown. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to
Please go ahead.
name, right? But yeah, so because you have a very large, large funded, big blue-eyed boy in the tech industry.
Yeah.
Byju's success or failure sort of defined the entire ecosystem. There are a lot of people niche, right? As in, if Byju's would have been really successful, a lot more money would have come into edtech. When Byju's meltdown happened, it actually took away a lot of trust of the lending ecosystem in education as a industry.
Because you're saying that maybe parents or customers said that, oh, the lenders have forced this product on us, or the product was not great in the first place, or something like that?
Exactly. As in, it's so basically what happened there is, of course, the products, as in everybody, all of us know, right? As in, the products were sold a lot, missold a lot as well. People didn't really know what they were getting into. And, a lot of, lenders had seen that as an opportunity and gotten in. But then when it stopped working, there are large lenders who, lost a lot of money. I know lenders who have suffered from close to around 20% NPAs on their Byju's portfolio, which has been 50% of their
Entire AUM.
overall disbursals and overall AUM. That's significant, right? You can't come back from there. It's very hard to come back from there. So as an industry, the lending industry then sort of saw the education industry again in a very negative light.
Are you saying that at that point, your original thesis of looking at the course and evaluating the course suddenly became more important?
Yes, because we had no exposure in Byju's. We continued to do the things that we were doing. So we never had exposure in Byju's because we never understood the product. We never understood how it's beneficial for a parent. We never went in there. So the institutes that we were supporting, and the institutes and the students going to those particular institutes and courses that we were funding, we continued to double down while the industry, finance, the entire lending industry took a backseat. So again, sort of, delivering on that thesis that, on our core thesis, on our core principles. And, that was also another pivotal point for us.
That is very interesting. Let me say it in my words. Tell me if I'm right.
Sure.
If you're the CEO of a lending industry and you are responsible for growth, which means that you can only grow if you take a certain amount of risk, you give out more loans. If you grow too slowly, then that's not good. If you grow too fast, that's not good. You want to, as you said earlier, buy risk.
Correct.
And your method of buying risk is to evaluate the course.
Correct.
But maybe somebody else who is under pressure to grow would see that this opportunity of a fast and upcoming course which has become very popular, and they're seeing that, oh, we can ride along with that course, we'll end up growing our portfolio. They put some money there because it's an opportunity for them to grow fast. But you didn't do that because that didn't match with your core thesis, and you had taken a a view of the industry, and that didn't match your view. So you sort of averted that crisis, and therefore again your value system, your core thesis benefited you in a big way.
Correct. I'll just rephrase a few pieces, right? So in lending, we feel that our job is to build trust of financial services, of lenders in a particular ecosystem. For us, for that matter, is education as an ecosystem or education as an industry. Our job is to build trust of lenders in the education ecosystem, in that industry. How do we build trust? We build trust by being very, by showing to the lenders that we can price that risk and we can buy that risk really well. We know how to understand which risk is a good risk and which risk is a bad risk. And there is a way of doing it. And so you guys should also be open about that. That's when that money flows in, and that's when that, industry actually gets that, people, lenders opening up their purses for either institutes or for students, learners, parents, and so on.
Very interesting. Let me ask you a question then. So two crises we spoke about.
Yeah.
One crisis helped you accelerate,
Yeah.
and one crisis helped you prevent a sort of a pitfall. Like you could have fallen into a well, but you didn't. Now that these two things have happened and everybody else is looking at you, are you seeing more lenders follow the method that you have adopted? Have you become like a company that everybody else is copying?
So there are some people who, of course, who are, making inroads in this industry as well, in the education industry, and we feel that it's a great thing. As in, it's a huge market. It's close to $100 billion market. We're not a consumer tech play. We're not going to be two people or duopoly sort of working in that industry. Lending does not work that way. As in lending, you care about your profits, you care about your risk, you care about your liabilities, and so there can be 10 players here, and the industry is going to benefit from that. So yeah, we are seeing a few people come in
Nice.
after our experience.
Nice. So your thesis is being proven by multiple, and what you were saying earlier, that you want to influence the industry to follow a more trustworthy model, that's being.
Yeah, exactly. As in, apart from the fact that what we got, what we achieved from those moments were growth in both of those moments, right? And what we achieved from there is a lot of trust of that industry partners on Propelld. That Propelld is a long-term player, and they really understand the education ecosystem, and they're not just somebody, or they're not just some other person.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing. I also want to ask you, you are the first guest we have had from a FinTech background.
Yeah.
So the question I want to ask you is, how has FinTech or lending or credit risk or underwriting, all these topics, how have they changed in the last 14, 15 years, given that, we've had sort of like a digital revolution, and where's the role of tech in all of this?
We play in a highly regulated industry. It's regulated for the right reasons. We've seen, you must have followed a lot of cases where there were a lot of illegal apps and sort of illegal ways of collections, and Chinese apps and so on, right? So as a reason, it's highly regulated. So I think I'll first speak about the transition that has happened from a mindset point of view. I feel like there've been three phases from a regulation point of view, which has influenced what kind of business models entrepreneurs and investors have also looked at it. There was a first phase, which was probably around the time of close to around 16, say 18 or 19 ke aspas. So, from 2016 to say 2019, when things were opening up a lot more, as in there were a lot more digital rails infrastructure that were opening up. eKYC was opening up. RBI wanted things to be a lot more smoother. RBI wanted a lot of financial penetration. They were giving out licenses for P2Ps. They were trying out different means of raising money. P2Ps, is a different way of raising money from instead of traditional sort of sources. Now that really helped, and a lot of FinTechs, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of VCs came in. The prevalent thought process then was to have business models which are more FinTech, which would look at lending from a extremely scalable, sort of like a consumer play, and value it that way. But then slowly, once after a wave of that, it also gave birth to a lot of these illegal apps. And that's when there came a phase of clamping down on them. And so, RBI's regulations became changed, and, they wanted things in a much more closed loop, in a closed sort of ecosystem. And they brought in a lot of checks and balances and processes, which of course helped the consumer. But then what that led to happen was that the mindset of the business model and the mindset of entrepreneurs and VCs, investors, it started changing towards business models which are way more traditional. The way NBFCs have sort of, the business model similar to an NBFC which is ran in the past.
Sure. So it opened up a lot because of digital, like a quick wave of digitalization.
Correct.
And then sort of we realized that there's a lot of NPA or whatever. There was a lot of high interest lending.
Yeah.
A lot of errors happened, and then it sort of came back to an older model.
From a business model point of view. So now what happened was, from a tech point of view, the way people think about it is that the business model continues to be an NBFC or a financial services business model, the way it has been there in the past, or the way publicly listed NBFCs and banks are sort of looked at. But then how do you now use tech to do those things but way better and way more efficient? That's how things are right now. It's not the earlier model was more about, using sort of like a consumer game, and, lending being like a consumer game and tech being seen that way. But here it's more about, you understood, right? As in, the business model continues to be the same.
There was a phase when we were saying every app is a FinTech. I remember that wave where that wave is gone, you're saying.
Yes.
It's sort of dialed back to an older model, but much better driven and more efficient because of high use of tech.
Correct. Like, for example, if I talk about how, we look at using tech, right? So, look, for us, core pieces of using tech are on two areas. One is the entire heart of our risk and credit, which is to say, how do we evaluate institutions? How do we evaluate risk? How do we monitor that? How do we build triggers? How can we make it an experimentative, learn, test hypothesis, learn from that, iterate, and, build models, that sort of a thing. And a lot into sort of how do we build more efficiencies and, sort of bring in a lot of value, in the processing piece of it, in the running of the company piece of it, so that, that value can then be given back to the customers or to the institute. So those are the primary pieces that we use, technology for, core pieces for that.
Nice. And that you're saying that this is the norm now. This is the
norm now.
This is way in the issue.
As in.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, very nice. You've shared a lot with us about your own journey, about your company's journey, and thank you for being so open. I know that you're in a regulated space, and it's not easy for fintechs to share so much. But thank you so much for us. We learned a lot. If you're watching this podcast, share, like, subscribe. If you want to follow what Victor does or what his companies does, you can find them online. You can find them on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thanks for having me here again, Madras.